Like, good evening, everyone. I see some wonderful faces. Well, not faces, but names in chat. Barbara DeRush and Autobot Al. How are you doing, you two? Good to see you. On a special Friday night, DJs Classic Garage live. Yeah, there was no way I was going to do it last night because the meeting I was in lasted till like 9:30. I was in over a 3-hour meeting. I had so much fun. Oh, here we go. Barbara DeRush. I was watching one video from your trip. It was the cars that had all the original stuff. I mean, yeah, those survivors. The everything in that tent was it was mind numbing. I could never own a car like that. I'm too clumsy. I'd feel terrible. So, what up, Autobot Al? I'm in complete panic. I have like 4 videos I have to finish editing. I had to pack. I gotta get my parking in Miami. I gotta make sure everything's all in line, and I have to get my mind into Italian mode. But other than that, everything's going great. Everything's going great. I mean, I have like four 10-minute videos I gotta edit by Monday. The fun of a YouTuber. Yes, that is correct, Barbara DeRush. I heard you say last night you're going to Italy. Yes, I am. I'm actually going to Sicily, because that's where my family's from. I'm Sicilian, and that's where I'm going. You don't grow a beard like this and not be from the South. But yeah, that's where I'm going. It's totally different. Yes, and on the other channel, yes, I may end up doing a Monday show. I just can't wait. Yeah, Monique even emailed me already. Barbara DeRush, do you know? Yes, I do. I have cousins there. I have cousins and I have friends in the town. So I honestly, I actually do know people. My daughter and wife know no one, so they'll be fine. I'll introduce them. Also, they don't speak much Italian, and my family only speaks Italian. It's going to be spectacularly interesting, I guess. So yeah. So the complete come with Oh yeah, sure. Go right ahead. He's talking about the other podcast, and yes, he can. Barbara DeRush has been investigating her genealogy. Yeah, it's amazing when you actually, but if you go to the country, when you go to the country, it's really weird because when I went to the record hall to find out about my great grandparents, my great grandfather being born in this town, he was born 3 years before his parents were married. So, and my great grandmother was 16 when he was born. They waited till she was 19 to get married because, you don't want to marry somebody too young. But according to them, that was normale. It was completamente normale. No, non strano. So that was fascinating to find out that basically my great grandfather was a bastard. That's literally what that is. So yeah, but yeah, you'll find out weird things. Actually, I found out my great grandmother, the one I was using for citizenship, she denounced America and sent her jewelry to Mussolini. Yeah, so there's that. What about Al? What is the weather in Italy right now? Well, Italy is a very long country. Sicily is near 80. Up in the north is actually probably in the 50s because it's pretty long. It's like the difference between like New York City and Florida. I mean, I'm dead serious. It's like New York City to Florida. Hey, it's Jamie. Hi, everyone. Yeah, we're just talking about we're just talking about my future trip to Sicily, where hopefully I'll see some fine Italian cars like Fiats. Maybe do a thing on them because my God, those mechanics earn their money. I am renting an estate because I have to carry luggage, and hopefully it's a Volkswagen, so I can at least make it around. So yeah, that's what you've missed so far. Oh, 2 Civil War veterans. Oh, that's should be fairly easy. So they've been here like you're like daughter of revolution. That's pretty cool. Wow, that's neat. I've known people like that. That's really cool. So yeah, so we're here doing a little car thing. I actually have to work on another video that I didn't realize that my electronic ignition video would be such a hot topic, and I have actually been working on the follow-up because it literally is a 2-part story. Because I just basically talked about the dawn of it, and honestly, how we got to where we are today was very serendipitous and not a very much straight line. So that's going to be a really interesting thing. Oh, 1820s. Wow, they waited so long. Barbara the Rush's family came here in the 1820s. Wow, because that's actually those are latecomers. Well, most of my family came over after 1900. Oh well. Damn. Wow. So they weren't even here for the second UK American battle. Cool. Okay, so yeah, we're still, and I'm still working on Mo Party stuff. My camera made it much harder because it didn't record sound. And so there's a lot of videos I have to rework. And so I'm working on that. And yeah, I have all this stuff to do this weekend, and I'm going to have videos come out on Tuesday. The 2 Tuesdays I'm not here, and the Tuesday following, because I know I'm not going to have any time to do anything. So that's why I have to work on so many videos this weekend. Okay, so let's get into this nonsense this week, because I like and this is like the stuff I love pointing out. And it isn't the zebra. It is delivery mileage Hellcat jailbreak was parked to flip for a profit and got burned hard. A 34-mile 2023 Dodge Challenger Hellcat wide body jailbreak just sold for thousands under sticker. You people out there, peace and love, watching this later, or you're catching it now. On these new cars, they're not collector's items. They aren't. They're not collector's items just because of A and B. That's not how it works. Drive the hell out of the car. Absolutely, positively, drive it till the wheels come off. I saw so many people at Mo Party driving the wheels off of these things. There was a guy with a jailbreak drag racing it. Just drive it. So the original price of this was $97,000. And so this guy bought it for $87,000. And when this guy bought it in 2023, he probably paid $110 for this car. And so this is what happens when you buy a new piece of disposable car and think you're going to make money on it, because it's not going to happen. Plus, the other part is that when Stellantis comes back to their senses and starts releasing Hemi everything, this car's going to be worth nothing, because the new Hemi everything is going to be faster than the old Hemi everything. It's not, it's just not the way it works. The reason that the muscle car era cars are so valuable is a few reasons, and one of them is that they can never build those again. That type of car can never be built again. No matter how much you think it can be built, it can't be, because you'll never have cars with carburetors again. You never have cars that won't have anti-lock brakes, won't have airbags. We'll have drum brakes all around. With all the basic non-electronics in there, you're never going to have that again. And so that's why those cars are absolutely, positively, never, ever, going to be copied again. And that's why their value is so high of what it is. It's basically it's something that can't be built again, and there's a demand for it. This next year, they could probably come out with another wide body Hellcat car, and well, then this one's worth nothing. I mean, it's going to be a depreciated car. And there's just two things in this article that really twist me, though. First of all, they call it Tour Red. Tour Red is a Plymouth color. Hemi Orange is the Chrysler color, is the Dodge color. And the other thing is that they said it has a limited slip. No. On Chryslers, you have a shore grip. So I mean, it's just there's a little things, but I mean, it's a nice looking car. I'd drive the hell out of this thing. I wouldn't go and put it away to try to make money on this car. I would just drive the hell out of this thing. I'd bring this I'd drive this party and go drag race. I mean, that's what I would do. It's a 6-speed too. So absolutely. Okay. Barbara DeRush. Dennis, you could buy a car today in 2026 and treat it so that in 50 years it's under that tent with all those other cars. What type of car would you pick? What model? Ooh. See, that's a problem because most cars today, to make 50 years is going to be pretty tough. The electronics are really the downfall of them. That's really a good one. What would I pick? Pretty much you need to have something that you can have at least service too, because that's the other thing. Boy, this is a tough one. I would probably pick I would pick a V8, like a V8 F-150. I mean honestly, a V8 F-150. You'd have at least the best chance of it not going to complete garbage. None of these Stellantis products I would even consider. Maybe I'm trying to think what other they have down market, because something weird as Survivor, and it's just there really isn't a lot of cars that really come to mind that I would see as something in 50 years. The Mustang, I picked that Mustang you had on here a couple weeks ago. Oh, the GTD, yeah, they're gonna make 1,300 of those at $320,000. And that's the problem, Jamie. Nothing today is built to last. That's why it makes it so hard. Those old cars, you can make them last because, I mean, everything was technically over-engineered, except for Chrysler on their timing systems, where they used a nylon lined gear for timing, and it would break, and the chain would slip. I know it's a tough one because I thought about it for like 3 hours after I watched the video. Yeah. Honestly. Yeah, I think I'll stick by to the F-150, like a regular cab, because you don't see a lot of them. A regular cab, short bed, V8 F-150, because it has at least the aluminum body, and if in Florida, the aluminum, nothing's going to happen to the aluminum body. Their suspensions have gotten a lot better. Mine's 11 years old. 9 years old. It's 9 years old. And knock on wood, the suspension's still good. Ford used to have a problem with the front I-beams were terrible. And the V8 that V8 is pretty indestructible. Barbara Dorsch, I had to get an inheritance about it. Rust. Yeah. That's not for a common collector deck thing. That is high end. That is Ferrari level kind of Mustang. And Ford did that as a halo car, because instead of doing like a Ford GT, a one-off, they built it off the Mustang name, which I understand, because they're going in IMSA and they're racing Mustang in the in the long form racing, so the endurance racing. So I can really see that. I mean, that's why they did it, because the GT is cool, but it's not a Mustang, and Mustang's kind of Ford's That's their identity. It really is. It really is. That has become their identity since the mid '60s. And I think they really realized that in the '80s when they brought it back, that really it's their identity. So, yeah, I know. But that car is just stupidly, well, everything's stupidly expensive now. I mean, we're talking, now we're talking with about uh going out and buying this new, like, the new Charger thing, the 6-pack that I've yet to see because there's none. Oh yeah, we got puzzle. We got a puzzle up here. She's beginning a headrest, I guess. Um, but that 6-pack, it's $60,000. Any way you slice it, the car's 60 grand. And that's extremely expensive because I mean the cars that we're replacing were, you could buy, a 5.7 Hemi like Challenger for under $40,000. And now it's 60 to get into the game. It's just too expensive. Um Barbara Drush, I think I'm becoming a car woman. That's good. That's very good. Nothing wrong with that. There are actually quite a few of them. And a lot of times, especially in the drag racing, they're usually better because they have better reactions. It's just the way it is. But so I mean, but the thing with the pricing of cars, I mean, yeah, the GTD is real expensive, but then again, a regular Mustang is 50,000. A Mustang GT, it's 50,000. A Dark Horse is what, near 70. I mean, it's an animal, but it literally is a lot of money, and it's truly off the chain at this point. Yep, puzzles. And she's now she flips sides. Because she doesn't like staying in one place. She's that type of cat. But if you really look at it, the muscle cars, like the bottom muscle cars, like the Roadrunners, your Le Manses, your basic Chevelles, right now those cars with inflation, and I'm talking car inflation, they'd be $30,000 cars. All day long, twice on Sunday, they'd be $30,000 cars. A Hemi car would be the equivalent of a $50,000 car. But I mean, it's a race car. It's a race car engine. So 50,000, sure, 60,000, whatever. But when you're getting into the game, and this is why I think that and I've had this videos on this, and it really, the classic car culture is really gone. There's different culture replacing it, but you don't have high school students or young men of like 19 years old running out to the car lot and buying a high performance car now. It's just not, or young women. I mean, there are a lot of women that buy fast cars, but nobody is at like 20 years old able to afford one of these cars. Well, it's changed. It's still there, but it's not what it was. And that is kind of the thing. Plus, a lot of it is also down to the way government works. Because back in the day, because when I grew up on Staten Island, and actually there was articles in Hot Rod about Staten Island and the drag racing there, because people went to South Avenue. South Avenue was a half-mile straight road. I mean, it was literally dead straight. And it was actually marked off for a quarter mile. And then you had another quarter mile to stop. So this road was built for it. And honestly, if you got caught drag racing back then, you might get a ticket. You might get in a little trouble. You might get a talking to from the cop. And that's where it would pretty much end. I mean, as long as if you were just speeding or drag racing, weren't doing it, there wasn't any endangering anybody, you just get a talking to or a small fine. Now, you get caught doing that, they take your car. I mean, you end up getting a felony. They suspend your license. I mean, it's just they absolutely just destroy you. And it's like, okay. And while 40 years ago, it was just basically a slap on the wrist and you walked away. And that's just kind of the other part of it that no one really likes to talk about, is that literally the whole thing is flipped on its head. And then to add on top of that, they're trying to get rid of drag strips, which is why you want more drag strips, because that makes people not go race on the street. If you had drag strips that were easily accessible and you could go race for 10, 20, 30 bucks and on a Thursday, Friday night, Saturday night, sure. And if they just let you make any side bets with people and race for cash or whatever, that's fine. Yep, Barbara Rush. Back in the day, cops used to take home. Yeah, more than likely you get a talking to. Are they still racing out at the trestles? No, probably not. Probably not, because you can't even do 25 miles an hour in Staten Island anymore, and they have speed cameras everywhere. I honestly, and hi Edwin, how are you doing? I'm glad to see you made it early. Cool, thanks Ed. But yeah, I mean, I have never gone back there, and I probably would ever will, because it seems like that's a hellhole now. It's a shame. There's a couple of pizza places I really love over there, and I can't go back. It's the same. But yeah, I mean, down here in Tampa, there's a place called the Gandy Bridge, and that has been the drag race place, because the bridge is very long. It's closed off. There's this divider in the middle. The bridge is closed off. It's perfectly straight, and they used to do drag race there because you could easily go across, and you had a lot of time to decelerate. And now they had stings out there, and they were just confiscating cars, and it was absolutely horrific. And that's kind of leads me into my next story that I found that I'm just like, this one's if you want to see government waste, here it is. Louisville leaders crush a $100,000 Hellcat Durango to deter illegal street racing. So these morons that run Louisville, which I heard Louisville is not a great place to start with, destroyed this vehicle that they could have sold and made money on, because they confiscated from person, which is against the Fourth Amendment. But why should we care about rights? Louisville leaders kept the promise to street racers when they crushed a 2021 Hellcat Durango impound lot in Frankfurt Avenue Wednesday morning. Wow. They seized it at the Street Rod Nationals last year, and it had been used in street racing. So it wasn't street racing at the time, but these communists that run Louisville went there. This Mayor Craig Greenberg, who is a horrible human being, and destroyed this vehicle that is a useful vehicle that was somebody paid for with their money. We will seize your car. If it's not legal for the streets, we'll crush it. Wow. Last time I looked, the Hellcat Durango is a legal vehicle. Last time I looked, they actually sold it, and it has a VIN. It has a vehicle identification number. That car is literally legal to drive on the streets. Wow. This car is not street legal. Wow. Oh, wow. Wow. So this is chilling at this point. This is truly chilling. So instead of selling this car, they went out, or using it for the police force, they went out and just did the most moronic thing you can do. They crushed it like that. Completely made it a useless. No, they couldn't even sell parts off it or anything. Literally destroyed it. This is government stupidity. Did they say it had stolen parts on it? For some reason, it makes it impossible to sell or return the rifle. No, it had illegal parts on it. I guess it was modified, but it shouldn't matter. I don't understand that, because this is something that was $100,000 and you took it from them without compensation. That's theft. I don't understand that. So let's see. So spiteful. Yes, so spiteful. No, this is stupidity. And honestly, you didn't teach a lesson. What you did is you showed that Louisville, instead of having any type of intelligence and ability to actually maybe address a problem, or actually capitalized from this thing being stolen from the original owner. Maybe you could have sold it. Maybe you could have used it in your police fleet. Maybe you could have had it to teach young kids how to drive on a closed course, because maybe this would have been a good thing to teach them. Yes, communists. Hey, that's communism. When you don't own your stuff, that's communism, and that's what this is. I mean, this type of stuff pisses me off. I mean, seriously. Barbara Rush, should I go down to the police department and demand my weed back? Yes, absolutely. It's not theirs. It's not theirs. It's a plant. You grew it. Go get it. But yeah, so this was this is the moronic government thing of the week. So I'm just kind of, but these are the same people that don't want to have drag strips where people can go racing. And honestly, we are all scared of the communists back in that. You should still be scared of communists. Still should be scared of communists and communist idea. They're scary stuff. You know, the cops probably took it home that night and smoked it. Oh, about the pot. Oh, absolutely. Please. Absolutely. Everybody knows that. But you know, I just look at the, you know, the mindset now with the safety, everything safety. You know, drag strips are safe, and YouTube has a whole thing now. And I'm always worried about this because I know of one channel that got demonetized for showing drag racing on a closed course. And I'm like, that's why I'm nervous about putting up my drag racing video. It's me on a closed course with a car that's running. I mean, you know, honestly, there are sedans today that can outrun my car. And I just find it, you know, like just a little unnerving at this point. So I don't know. Oh, guy. Oh, Gary Ackerson. Hey, Gary. In New Jersey, they call it a dispensary. Absolutely. Yeah, but the oh, it's 3 Diesel Larry. Cool. That's okay. You didn't miss much. You just missed them crushing a. Yeah, you just missed this where they crushed a Durango because they're morons. Yeah, they said it was involved in street racing, even though it wasn't street racing at the time, and they crushed it instead of a perfectly working vehicle and crushed it. That's what you missed. That and how modern cars are not really a great investment. This guy got his ass handed to him on a jailbreak Hellcat wide body. So that's what you missed. I've caught you up. Oh wait, Barbara DeRush has a guy. You should always have a guy. Absolutely. I agree with that. You should have a guy. Always. So this is one of these wonderful things that I enjoy. This is my favorite online magazine here, Mopar Insiders, because if I want to know what Stellantis is really thinking, they'll tell us. But this is awesome because I think the tide's turning here. Our 2025 Charger Daytona Scat Pack bricked. A 2-day ordeal with 5 tow trucks reveals the bigger EV challenge. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not saying I'm happy to see this article. I'm not saying I can't say I'm not extremely enthralled for this thing being rolled on a low pack and basically being just a 4,000-pound piece of iron at this point, that it's no longer a car or an appliance. But this thing literally got an update, this appliance, and this is why I don't like appliances. Oh, all right. Hold on one second. All right. Gary Ackerson wants his Max Wedge pictures. Hold on. I was going to put him in the video, but you know what? Okay. Hold on one second. Hold on, Gary. Wait a minute. I deliver. I swear I showed them already, but here we go. I know I have my Max Wedges right here. I got your Max Wedge right here. right here. All right, so here. Open a new tab. Open a new tab. Open a new tab. And then oh yeah, this one. Open a new tab. Yeah, then we had the sexy shot. Okay. Okay. So here we go. Let this is for Gary Ackerson. We're gonna go through the Max Wedge porn that I saw at Mo Party. So this is the Lady Max. This is a 426 Max Wedge. They truly enjoyed the sticker pack. Uh, they really showed the how you're supposed to do the sticker packs. So you can't see into the car. It's perfect. The car was pretty fast. Yes, it was driven by a girl, and she was fast. And you see it has a 10-second dial-in, which is pretty good for these cars. And here's another one. It's a little Plymouth Grand Fury, a Sport Fury. It's also, I think this was a 413 car. It had the old school rims on it. And he's dialed in at 1075 because it's 413. Perfect. It's even cut forward on the back there. Just absolutely just a spectacular car. And then, of course, this one stopped me in my tracks. I was like, it's a Ram Charger. I don't know if this is. I didn't get to talk to the owner, but it says Ram Charger Candymatic on it. It's the right car. The back wheel is cut forward. The front wheel is cut forward. That is an aluminum bumper. I did not find out or ask if these are aluminum fenders and hood because it probably can be. I didn't bring a magnet with me. But honestly, you're campaigning it as an original Ram Charger. I'm kind of going, yes, it is. And then I looked in the engine compartment and went, oh, yes. That is, I mean, this is as you can, because it is a 426 Max Wedge, dual AFBs on it, because they would use AFBs because that was the first modern 4-barrel. They upgraded it to Willwood brakes so they can actually stop as a modern voltage regulator, but it does have the correct fender well headers on this thing. Those are absolutely 100 the way they did it. MSD on this. This is honestly, this is a drag car. Yeah, this is and that is race orange, as it would have been on the Ram Chargers, because this was before the Hemi. That became race Hemi orange. It's different than street Hemi orange, but we've gone through this. But yeah, this car was just absolutely amazing, and it ran hard. And you notice there's no air filter on this car because you don't need one at a drag strip. Because honestly, when you're at the drag strip, what's the worst that's going to get in there? Dust. And for how long? It's not going to hurt the engine. It really is not going to hurt the engine. Not for a half mile of driving. It's just not. It's not that much dust anyway. So they don't, sometimes they have screens to keep the bigger stuff from getting in, but this is what a race car from the early 60s looked like. 100%. Just 100%. This absolutely, and you see that the venting, it vents it down from the PCV. It actually just vents it out. It doesn't go into the carburetors or anything. Don't want to lose any of the power. Let's see. Was Sox and Martin there? No, they were not. The only thing that was there that was old was the wheel stander. The wheel stander Barracuda that was there, and but they don't get out very much, and it was hot. It was 90-something degrees out, so I can't imagine a lot of older people would have really enjoyed being out there. I mean, it was freaking hot. So it was a lot. But this is This car was just like, and I love seeing drag cars that are kept well. And this car is just phenomenal. A lot of these old ones are just incredible. Hemi Under Glass, that's on the West Coast. It has not. I've seen it run. I saw it run in Englishtown at Raceway Park. It actually raced the Bill Mavericks wheel standing A100. So I remember watching that, and they both ran like in the nines. And the Hemi Under Glass. Now, for people who don't know, Hemi Under Glass was from Chrysler, and what they did is they took a 65 Barracuda, and they put a 426 Hemi in underneath the rear section of the car. And I'll even show a picture. And the car would wheel stand all the way down the strip. And what they did is they had the ability to steer it with the rear brakes because they had two different lines. And they had a hole cut in the floor so they could see where they're going, because it's freaking incredibly dangerous. So I have seen this car run. And it is absolutely amazing. I actually have a T-shirt with it. So, and we'll just open this thing up. And but I mean, honestly, this car is absolutely, this is insanity. So the zoomies are right in front of the back wheel, because that's, so you can see the engine sitting right behind him, and he's there, and he's looking through the floorboard for a head to see that. And they have like, they built in stuff so they can drag the ass on the ground. So I mean, to watch this car run is incredibly crazy. I was next to this car when it started up. It scared me, because that is probably damn near 1,000 horsepower. I mean, seriously, it is a full-blown race Hemi. There's no holding back on this car. There's nothing. And actually, Jay Leno crashed this car. So that happened like 2 years ago. Jay Leno was trying to make a turn with it and just rolled it over. But this car is just absolutely phenomenally. It's just phenomenal to watch. And I really wish you'd see it at more shows, because then you also have the Mavericks wheel standing wheel stander pickup Dodge. It was Dodge Rams, but it was an A100. You had a little red wagon. I've seen this thing also go, and I'll get a good picture of it here. This thing is insanity, because these things, first of all, these A100s are not safe. These things are not safe to start with. But then they put a Hemi, a 426 Hemi in the bed of this truck. You see the zoomies here. They filled the tailgate with lead. Molten lead was poured into the tailgate to make it heavier. And then they had like a skid plate on the bottom of it. It had just a basic leaf spring front suspension on it. The heaviest thing in the front of him was Bill Maverick. That was the heaviest part of the front of this truck, was Bill Maverick. And this once again, he's looking through here, and he's steering using the two wheels. This car is this racer was absolutely insane to watch. Absolutely insane to watch. And to have both of them in Englishtown, they had the Atlantic Nationals, and they had this and this race each other. The two big wheel standers. And honestly, this was absolutely phenomenal to see these things go down the track and run real fast. Yeah, so that, that's a little thing there with that. Gary Axton wants to know, did you notice the prices of cars for sale? Any good deals? No, I actually didn't get into the car area. So I really didn't get to see it. I saw parts, and parts are still psychotically expensive, but I didn't see anything there. for sale per se. Um, I'm trying to think. I did see a couple cars that were just it was off the wall stuff. But overall, though, I would say that the pricing is getting a little weak, especially on the top end, because it just can't sustain itself. There's not enough of a market for it to actually sustain itself anymore. So the top of the market's coming down, the bottom of the market's going up because it's the only thing that's left. So like A bodies are getting expensive. Then A body for you don't know Chrysler. A bodies are the small cars like Darts, the original Barracuda, a Demon, the old Demon. Anything that's small, what they considered a small car. The prices of those are going up like a rocket. And honestly, but they had to because it's the only cars you can go out and get because everything else has been pretty well picked over. I mean, there are still muscle car era cars that are hidden, in barn finds and whatever, but it's harder and harder to find. And most people know what they are now. I mean, you have to be under a rock not to know what these cars are. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I know demons are crazy high. I 2 years ago I went up to North Florida and I looked at a car for a collector. Oh, he's an enthusiast. He's not he drives his car, so he's not really a collector. But he's like he found me and he's like, hey, can you go look at this car for me because I know a lot, but I'm not really good at you know the technical stuff. I said, okay, great. So we went up and there was a demon there, and this car had an all original body on it. It was a 71 demon in hemi orange. I mean, with the hemi orange interior. I mean, you check in the boxes on it, but some fool went and added air conditioning to this car. It was a 4-speed car, real 4-speed car. It had everything underneath it should. And they not only did they put air conditioning in it, then they put fuel injection on it, and then they did unit body tie together, and it weren't bolt, it was welded. And the guy was asking about near $100,000 for the car. And the car was nice, but literally, this enthusiast, he had the money, but he's like, I was talking to him like, dude, that's going to be expensive to undo because you're going to have to basically take everything out of the car and flip it on its side and cut out the supports, the unit body tie-ins. You got to cut them out, and then you got to fix the unit body so it looks original again. I mean, you're talking like maybe $10,000 seriously to make it back to showroom to match the rest of the car. And then the fuel injection to take all that off and then take the air conditioning out. He was looking at $15,000, $20,000 on top of the price of the car to get this car back to the way it was. And the thing is, the guy did sell the car for damn near $100,000, and it wasn't to him, but he did sell it later on. And now at auctions, demons are, because they're a 2-year only car, Demon 340s and are easily close to 6-figure cars. I've seen multiple demons sell for 6 figures, and it blows my mind. But it's a 2-year only car, and a lot of things is. Plus, it's an A body. A bodies are not known for their durability. They were cheap cars. I mean, they literally were cheap cars. Usually, they rot out by the around the taillights. They usually disintegrate. It's just because it's Chrysler and they just were putting a car together and they only had a gasket back there. So when you have, I'll show a picture of a demon. Let's see, because it's a Demon 340. Let's see. Oh, Oh, wow, this looks almost like the. Wow, this almost looks like the car. And the other thing is that the Oh, here it is. This looks the only other thing is that the car had mismatched demon labels on the on each side, and that kind of threw me off. I'm like, that's not, I don't know, that's not good. Um but let's see. So get a good look at a good demon here. I got a terrible picture. Oh, this one's pretty cool. So this is kind of normal. So here we go. This is a Demon 340. The picture's actually kind of crappy. All right, good. So yeah, here it is. This is a Demon 340. So it just has a little demon with a pitchfork on there. The scoops were actually optional. A lot of stuff is optional, and this is in that's just orange. It's not even Hemi orange. It's just orange. But yeah, this is just kind of like that. Pawn Stars. I don't know about Al. I saw an episode of Pawn Stars where they bought a demon for $80K. Yeah, I mean this car. This has weld wheels on it and all, but I mean, if this car's just straight and that's a good engine in there, yeah. I mean, this guy. I don't know how old this picture is, but honestly, you could probably go to one of these consignment lots and they can sell it for $95,000. Seriously. Because I mean, this car looks straight. It has a couple day 2 mods on it. It fits the bill. It's a high impact color, painted mirrors. This is a whole thing, man. It was estimated between 150 and 180. Holy crap. That's insane. Let's see what we got here. National security and automation. I don't know much about vehicles. I have a 1984 El Camino. Ooh, that's like toward the end. I can't find anyone who knows how to work on it. Any recommendation how to find a good shop? Ugh. All right. A good way to find a shop is go down with people that, like hang out with cars. Like go like to a Cars and Coffee, or if they cruising at night, go to a cruising, or go to like a Chevy show and ask them, because they'll tell you where they have shops that actually work on those cars. Because that car is old now. And a lot of the technology in that car, the younger guys now can't work on those things. So that's my advice. I always say car clubs, because that car is old enough, they can tell you where to get it, because you still have a carburetor on that car, and you do have the better ignition system. But yeah, it's still. So I would definitely do that. That would be the best way to go, and find a place that knows what the hell they're doing on it, because that's how I always did it. I always asked people that had older cars, like, all right, do you know of? So yeah, hope I answered your question. Garrickson looked at a red 71 340 Carlisle. The owner was asking 72 to Demons head off the side emblems. Actually, in 72, it became a Dart Sport. Actually, you're right. 72 was the last year. So 77, yeah. They did take the Demon head off, but the name stayed. Then 73 became a Dart Sport because Chrysler. Oh, hello, G Canada. Nice. Good to see you. Yeah, so and the thing is, the 72s are still, even the 72s are extremely expensive. And honestly, they're not that far off from being the 71s. A 72 340 is not that far off. It's a little bit of work, and you have the same car. So, and nobody can tell. So, but 70, yeah, that's about right. Probably was an automatic too, right, Gary? Was it automatic? So I'm guessing that's what that was. Yeah, this is what I was talking about. These A bodies. The older small cars, man, the price in them has gone way up. Well, the price on top, like your Hemi cars and whatnot, is actually kind of stabilized, and there hasn't been any record set for 2 years now. So, oh my God, it's Sue M. Hi, I missed you. You're late, but I'm glad you're here. Cool. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, it's getting very fascinating, and we'll see what happens this winter. I am going to go with my friend Mo to Meekum during January, and I'm going to actually do a lot of videos from there this year, because why not? I want to see if anything actually if there's any records being set, because it's been really not happening. It's been gotten kind of slow. Garrison, 71 344 speed. Should have had a 3-speed. No, the 4-speed. Oh, it was an original 3-speed car, and they took it out and they put the 4-speed in. See, that actually hurt the price of that car, because the 3-speed is hell lot rarer than the 4-speed. Nobody wanted 3-speed because on the street it was impossible to drive, because the gears were so far apart that it was not awesome. But I actually was next to a guy last year. Had a 71 Roadrunner with a 3-speed in it. And I mean, this is just a rare car. I mean, there was only a couple hundred of those made. Yeah, so I was right. Yeah. And that's a shame, because the 3-speed, it would have actually made that probably $10,000-$15,000 more with the original 3-speed in it. I mean, it wouldn't be fun to drive, but still, it'd still be worth more. He kind of never owned a straight 6 myself, but I've driven a few nice ones. 58 Chevy with 3 on a tree. So his glasses still runs great. Is 2017 BMW 440 with an exhaust, and chip is awesome. Yes. Yeah, I haven't even gotten to the 6s yet. I guess we're almost there. In fact, we are. Okay. Yeah, because I actually, and I've been thinking about this, and I was probably going to do a full video on it just because. But, a lot of people out there, they talk about, the V8 this, V8 that. Okay. But, back in the 60s, 50s and 60s, actually for General Motors, up through the 50s, all they had were inline 6s, because General Motors just didn't, I can't, I'm like, I literally see shiny things and I start talking about other stuff. I had a few other weird things to talk about. And then we got onto expensive demons, because I actually looked at one for somebody and like, ugh. So yeah, but back in the day, the inline 6 was the bread and butter of every company. And then Chrysler came out in 1962 with the slant. They started with the 170, and then they made the 225, and they made the most indestructible engine ever made. And this article, I mean, it's showing a BMW one, and I'll even talk to this. But when Chrysler made the Leaning Tower of Power, as it's called, they wanted something that could rev quick, have tons of torque, and be able to, and you put the slant so it'd have a low hood. And the thing is about a slant, any type of 6, slant 6 was over-engineered. And the reason it lasts so long is that it has Hemi main bearings in it. Literally, it's the same part number. I am not kidding. It literally, the crank on that engine is so over-engineered to break one is almost impossible. You have to really, they don't burn out bearings. Those engines are amazing. So this article is talking about the superior, why people think it's superior to a V8. And of course, naturally balanced, more torque, and it runs smoother, more pleasing engine sound. And I can actually attest to this because I own, I got to get to it here. Where are you? Oh, I own this. This is the inline 6 that's in my 1989 BMW. It's a 2.5 liter. It makes about 190 to 200 horsepower. But the torque on this engine is absolutely freaking amazing. I can put this car in, just lift the clutch, and the car will roll forward. I mean, it is truly a testament to how much torque this engine has. And if you notice, BMWs are also leaning. BMW leans them like Chrysler did. They're leaning. It's just call them an inline, but all BMWs are on a slant. And because the way a V6 inline six moves, everything's moving linear up and down toward the crank. There's no cross, because when you have, and this is why the inline's going to be inline six is better, because a V8 moves like this, so you have motion that's going opposite each other, which of course puts a lot of wear on the center on the crank, because there's bearings there and they floating on oil. And what happens is that the inline six is moving straight up and down. So basically, and it's off timing because a V8 has always one cylinder on each one of the four strokes. An inline six actually it's off by two, but being off by two, it actually makes the harmonic perfect. My 1989 BMW, I chipped it, and I chipped this engine. It has 250,000 miles on it. This engine will spin 7,000 RPM without even blinking, without even struggling, without even saying ouch. It will absolutely spin all day long. It's just reliable. You change the oil in it. I mean, I changed the oil in it. I put zinc in there because it has flat tappets. And this is kind of where you need to be, with that's why the inline was always so much better. And of course, two diesel Larrys, the other one's got two, the Cummins and the inline six. Now they have one that's a 24 valve that literally is a thing of legend. It is a, how many liters is that? Is it like 6 liters? A 24 valve inline six that makes enough torque to actually be used in like heavy equipment. And and it's an inline, because Ford and General Motors use V8 diesels. And honestly, I mean, they're good. I mean, they're good. I prefer the Ford one over the General Motors. This is personal, but they aren't anything compared to the Cummins inline. And when you go into industrial engines, they're inline engines, because of you can just run them and run them and run them and run them, and there's no stress going anywhere. 6.7. I knew it was large, and that thing makes torque for days. Literally, people were drag racing those, and they were running like under 10. I mean, with a diesel. The Don Travel Channel. I think semi trucks use inline engines, and it usually go a million miles. Yes, the inline as a reliable engine. If you don't turbocharge them, because that's the problem with BMW, and that's what they're showing in this picture here. If you don't turbocharge them, they last forever, just because they are very well balanced and very well built. And then you have, of course, the other thing, we can't have this argument or this discussion without talking about the two JZ from Toyota. I've seen these engines not even really modified, with twin turbos on them, making 800 horsepower, and screaming, and nothing going wrong with them. So I mean, honestly, it is pretty amazing how reliable you can do that. Now, see, Ford had a great inline six, and they used it for years, was the 300. Now, the only problem with the 300, and they got rid of it too early, because the 300 had one problem. Because it was carbureted, and this is before fuel injection, the outer two, because of the way the runners were shaped, the outer two cylinders used to run lean, and you'd burn a hole in the pistons, because it just couldn't keep the fuel even, because then otherwise the centers would be too much fuel. It was just, they were unequal lengths, and it made it not run well. Well, fuel injection takes care of that problem, because the fuel injection, if you look on my my BMW, my little BMW here, the fuel injection takes care of it, because yes, these are unequal length runners. I mean, they are the equal length, but the thing is, these are still making a longer top, and then they switch down underneath, and these just longer underneath. But the fuel is getting delivered up here in this rail. So, there's no issue with the length of the runners because that's just air. And the Ford one, they were moving air and fuel, and that's what used to hurt those engines. The Don Travel Show. I wish I never sold my 86 Toyota pickup. I had had a SR22 the SR22. They're remaking the SR22. Toyota is recasting. I believe they are recasting those engines because Toyota's a fabulous company. And you can buy brand new one. Let's see if that's correct. Let's see. Let's see. Re-releasing, but they are. But they are. I know I read an article and I can't find it, but they are re-popping those engines. And my uncle had a Celica. I believe they used the same engine, that little inline 4. He loved that car. That car, if the body didn't disintegrate on it, he probably would have kept it. And he had the one in the 70s that had the little 2-barrel on it. And every Toyota inline 4 from that time period was absolutely indestructible. For 4-cylinder, they're the only 4-cylinders outside of like the more modern Hondas, because in 90 the Hondas came up with engines that could run 200, 300,000 miles for a 4-cylinder. They really did it. Those 4-cylinders came very close to capturing the American inline 6s, or even the BMW inline 6s. And it was amazing. The Japanese actually were able to make a 4-cylinder. It was just as built and as durable on the bottom. And usually 4-cylinders have a disadvantage because only one cylinder is doing, the actual compression, the firing stroke at a time. And, there's a lot more motion on them. Don Travel, I want to buy an old Toyota and fix it up. You're going to have to go to the desert Southwest and, or even Florida if it's away from the beach, because up north, they all disintegrate. They're biodegradable. You have to use recycled steel. There actually is a 74 Celica floating around down here. The guy drives it. The car is immaculate. Immaculate. And it has the 4-cylinder in it with the 4-speed. And it reminds me of my uncle's car. I remember that car so well. I used to sit on his lap and shift the car when I was like 5 years old. I would shift the car for him, because those are the good old days when you just just have a kid sitting up there driving the car for you. The good old days. But yeah, that but the Japanese truly, especially Toyota, found the way to over-engineer parts so that cars could sell, because they actually just sold. They actually sold on reliability, while American manufacturers were selling on style and whatnot. They were selling on reliability, and they did it at the right time in the late 70s, while most of the American manufacturers were building garbage. Or it wasn't that they were building garbage; it was that they were actually caught down because the government gave them rules they could not comply with. And they couldn't comply with them until the early 80s. So that's what literally gave the Japanese this real golden opportunity to perfect, the cars that they had copied from the British. And this made them a lot better. Obviously, they can run at night and when it rains, unlike British cars. So, but, that was really a thing. Now, Chevy had an inline 6, and from my understanding, it wasn't that great. It was okay. And so General Motors actually was more going into, and then during the 60s, they were more into doing V6s. And that was like their kind of like the new wave thing, was do V6s. So Ford had the 300, and actually I had a smaller one that they put in the Mustang. They sold a lot of inline 6 Mustangs. In 64 and a half, 65, 66, they sold a lot of inline 6 Mustangs. Not all of them were V8s because the 6 was extremely cheap. And and that's the kind of the thing that they were all. No, they weren't. They were 6s. Let's see. The Down Travel Channel. Word on the street is V8 engines going to be banned. Is this true? No, it is not. Maybe in California you're going to try to do it, but for workers, for construction people, for people that have businesses that need to carry stuff, you have to use V8. I mean, honestly, in this day and age, for the amount of capacity you put in, nobody makes a 6 that's big enough unless it's a diesel that could actually handle what a V8 can do. And the manufacturers are already starting to push back now because this is absolutely insanity. That I can't see that happening because there's no alternative at this point that can compete with the V8 for a for a business truck. Whether it be a plumber, construction worker, tow truck. I mean, a light duty tow truck, not like a diesel size, but just whatever. Any type of truck that has to carry anything heavy. There's no alternative at this point than a V8. California probably, but I have a feeling they're going to get a little slapped on that because I think they've played too hard their cards at this point. I really do. I think they've played their card too hard, and the people out there are kind of getting a little irritated. So, Jamie, do you ever go on eBay and look at cars? Yes, and then I nitpick them. I could probably do a video of me tearing a car apart. I literally, and it drives the missus insane. I will literally find a car on eBay, especially something I know, and just utterly just tear it apart and just go, this is wrong. That's insanely wrong. Like, what were you thinking? Like, literally, that's what sometimes people try to sell, and it's like, and they're asking big money. And no, especially if you're asking big money for the car, I'm going to pick it apart. I'm just it's what I do for fun, I guess. Gee, Canada, of course. My uncle had an 96 Camry. It died at 470,000 miles. He asked why. They said, "Where did you get your oil change at the dealership?" He said, "No place else. You haven't had it changed since 220,000. Wow. Oh my God. So it just died of starvation. Wow. Let's see. Oh yeah, this one. Those engines too. When I was a kid, it was a Z28 Trans Am or 280Z. The 280Z. The 280Z was the peak Nissan or Datsun. I guess it was transition. That 2.8 liter, also another indestructible inline 6. Absolutely an indestructible inline 6. Now, when they went to they had the 300, the old 300, not the new one. That also had an indestructible inline 6 in it. The 240, the 240, 260, 280, and then the 300. The 240 was just a little underpowered. I mean, but it was such a light little car. It was made for doing twisty roads. But every last one of those inline 6s they built, completely indestructible. It's just amazing because they literally over-engineered them. It was just like how Chrysler over-engineered the slant. And when you do that, it's hard to make it. It's hard to make them bad, but it's happened. Let's see. The Don Travel Channel. One of my hobbies is going Facebook Marketplace and putting the cars I like in my favorite list. No, I know that I'll never buy it, but I dream. Okay, I do that too. I do that with like Hemming cars. But like right now, Stellantis is trying to come out with this Huracan 6, and the problem with the engine, and BMW went through the same thing, and that's why I would never recommend a modern BMW as much as I love them. That when you turbocharge an inline 6, it becomes less reliable. There's something about it when it gets turbocharged, it doesn't like it. And I don't know what it is, if it's just because They don't have enough oil capacity, and it gets hot. I know the original BMW 335s, they were twin turbos, and they were slung right against the magnesium block, and the rods would then they literally went, and the Uncle Rodney said goodbye, and he left the building, and it happened a lot, and it was it was their beginning of turbocharging for in the modern era. And they learned a lesson. They put a single turbo on it, except for the 335 IS, which had a twin turbo still. I think they figured out some way to do a heat shielding. Actually, the 335 IS from 2009, I think it was 2009, 2010. Honestly, that's a car I wouldn't mind owning. It is terrifying. I drove one with a sequential gearbox, and I had the guy from the dealership in the car. He was from New Zealand, so he's a kind of cool cat. And you go out, and it's like, we go, hey, there's a nice empty road here. You can really get on it. Okay. So the car had 12 seconds of overboost, and I used every last bit of 12 seconds of overboost on that car. It's 380 horsepower. And we're on a straight road, and I'm in fourth gear with my foot to the floor. And there's S's coming up, and he's just sitting there, and we go up to her, and I just tap the brakes and downshift, and I fly through these S's at 80 miles an hour. And he looks over at me and goes, "You've done this before." Yes, I have. So yeah, that was my fun driving a 335 IS story. Let's see. The G Canada, the compression is too high, Dennis. You have to lower the compression on a motor for them to be viable to start with low compression. Yes, on turbochargers, yes and no. With modern technology, it's not as big a deal, but I think with the Huracan, that is a deal, because they actually are breaking those engines. And they were breaking them in the Grand Wagoneers, not even in the Chargers. I haven't even seen one of the Chargers yet, so I don't know. Nor did they have any at Mo Party. I couldn't even ride in one if I wanted to. In fact, the dealership didn't have any. So, I don't even. I just don't. Let's see. Oh, Barbara DeRush. My husband had a Pontiac Firebird with the T-top roof. Yep. Oh, T-tops. That was a 70s thing. But unfortunately, the cars weren't structured hard and strong enough to keep them from leaking. That sucked. They were fun. Bye, Don Travel Channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, man. Hit that like button. Tell your friends. Share it, baby. Share it. Thanks. But, so, I mean, you can have higher compression and turbocharging as long as the quench area is well and the computer is able to keep it with enough mixture to keep it from eating itself. But that's where it starts getting dicey. When you start winding these engines up on a very high scale, you're now going to have a whole issue where, and there's a puzzle again. Hi, puzzle. You're going to have a whole issue where something's going to break. And and it will always be heat related. And that's just what's going to fail on the car. It's going to be heat related. Either the car's going to go lean, or the oil's going to get hot and not lubricate. These are things that are going to cause it to go bye-bye. I just, it's just a shame that we haven't gone back to the pureness, because a pure inline six is indestructible. And I'll fight you on that. I love my V8s. I love my sound of my V8s, but I have a BMW with 250,000 miles in my garage that I still drive spiritedly. And I have another BMW with 186,000 miles that I drove cross country when it had 183 or 180. I think it was 180. We put 6,000 miles on it. But, and no, nothing. I mean, I even had loose spark plugs, and I still drove it across the country and still made it here. And honestly, I did a rear main seal on it. Everything is like in perfect. I mean, I look down in the cylinders, everything's in perfect nick on that. 186,000 miles. I mean, that's just a testament, and because that was 1990, that's peak engine there because it's fuel injected, has coil on plug, ignition system. You know, it doesn't have a lot of controls on it, but it does have one oxygen sensor, and it just, it runs it so it's running at a perfect mixture. Honestly, it's really a durable engine. That engine could probably go 250,000, 300,000 miles easily. I can't see why it wouldn't. For the last 20 years, it's been hyper maintained by my uncle. Granted, he didn't do any. I wish he had done more stuff on the looks of the car, but physically the car was maintained. I know the car always had its oil change, always had Mobil 1 put in there, always had the right Mobil 1 put in there, and always had a high-end filter put in the car. So let's see. I think the Mustang is going to be the way to go for a few years. I think the new Nissan Z has been a disappointment. Gary, I think that the problem with the Nissan Z was Nissan. To be very honest, Nissan screwed up when they launched that car. They screwed up so badly. First, they priced it wrong. Then they let their dealers mark it up. Marking up is the death of a car. They didn't have any control over them. And from what I've seen of the cars and people that I know that own them, they love that car. Absolutely love that car. It's actually pretty fast, but it handles better than most cars. And because it's made very, very well. And it's just a shame that Nissan is Nissan, and they're partially owned by the French, and it shows. And honestly, that car should have been a massive hit. I mean, they really should have sold 60, 70,000 of them a year, maybe more. But they didn't because, they have a $10,000 markup on this car. And it didn't make any sense. It's a two-seater. I mean, BMW is running into the same problem with the Z4. The Z4, it's only a convertible. The Supra isn't. But both those cars just suffer because of the price, and they're two-seaters. Two-seaters are not a big thing right now. Jamie, you want to know how to do something illegal? Okay, now, I'm not saying this is the way you can do it, but if you wanted to turn back the mileage on an old car, you'd have to take the speedometer out of the car, and I believe that you would, if you could, you would lift up the little keepers on it, and you can roll the numbers backwards on there. Now, the only thing is, once a car turns 100,000, the numbers get washed, and they actually don't line up anymore. So that was like the anti tampering thing that they did, because my Charger actually doesn't line up. Actually, I'll show a picture. I actually have a picture of my Charger that I just took when it turned 120,000 miles, and that's really the mileage on the car. It turned 120,000, and hi Wazzle, and we'll do here. Is this it? Yeah. Open this over here. So this is my Charger, and yeah, as you can see if you can see it. Let me get me out of here. I'll just do this. All right, get you out of here. All right, you see here how those numbers this is at 121,000. See how the 2 is way up in the air, the 1 is kind of not there. That's how they did it, and also the numbers are they're not very sharp anymore. They're supposed to be wider, but they're not. They have a thing that does that. So literally, they made it so you couldn't roll this back. So that's the whole thing on being able to do that. If you were, somebody was to do that kind of thing. I'm not advocating rolling back odometers, because that's very illegal and not a nice thing to do. All right, bye, G Canada. Thanks for stopping by, and catch the replay. Watch it 5 times if you have to, please. If you really want to get into detail on it, 5 times is what I recommend. Definitely. So I recommend that. Yes, G Canada, of course, talks about the Coyotes, and I will agree with this. I have seen the new Mustang with the Coyotes in them, which is the 302 5-liter. that people have stock engines have supercharged them and have put nitrous on them, and they're pushing 700-800 horsepower, and there's nothing wrong with the car, and they beat the hell out of it. Mr. Dangles, of course, he will not drive a car without an electric-cooled pony harness with fuel injection. That made my head hurt. Thank you, Mr. Dangles. That hurt, actually. Damn. But yeah, back to, what was I even talking about? I guess I was talking about inline sixes. So because the other company that had it for the longest time was Jaguar. And it's actually a video on here. They're actually showing a Jaguar, one of my favorite cars. I'm not going to play the video because I don't know who's. But yeah, these ones, one of the long hoods, and these engines were phenomenal. And honestly, if they had better electronics, these cars would be great. But they actually did use like some Chrysler parts on them. They actually had Chrysler voltage regulators. I noticed when I went to Mecum, they had a Chrysler voltage regulator on there. The inline six is easier to work on, and they have more low end torque, which I've already gone over. Because the Intrepid Assistant, the car she is going to earn, the BMW, it's easy for her to drive stick on it, because once you get it into first gear, the car rolls. You don't have to really fight it to go forward. And honestly, it's for just the length of it. Let's see, the power. Oh yeah, so this is the inline. That's the V6. So you can see here with these, with the small, which they don't even make anymore. It sucks. The small diesels, yeah, the inline turbo diesel made much more horsepower and much more torque. The towing capacity is actually not do anything to do with the engine. Towing capacity has everything to do with brakes and chassis. Ford has just a better chassis, so that's why it could tow more. But this is a much more powerful engine, and yeah. But yeah, and then your maintenance. They had to broke down the maintenance cost on it, but BMWs are extremely expensive. So are Jaguars. So this is really not a great argument. Why don't we see more? Because V6s are more of an American thing, and so are V8s. And also for a front-wheel drive car, inline sixes suck, because you can't. The Volvo did inline 5. That would fit sideways. Let's see. Barbara DeRush, I think of Mr. Dangle's having a car like the Geico Gecko, that little, yeah. I think so too. That seems to be his style. And he likes stuff with wing doors. Dear Lord. My goodness. My goodness gracious. So yeah, that was so that was my whole thing on inline sixes being superior all around, actually, except in front wheel drive cars, because that is, of course, where for a V6 and inline, they use V6s, but to try to work on that is basically being a masochist. A V8 front wheel drive car is basically, you're going to need a therapist when you're done. And so a lot of straight eights. So I didn't really talk about the straight eights because they haven't built a straight eight since the 50s, early 50s, before they built the Hemi. Chrysler used straight eights before they built the Hemi, and straight eights made incredible torque. They really were. They were the high performance engine of their day. The thing is that they couldn't rev. I mean, they just would. I mean, it was just because of technology, I think, more than anything else. And they were long. A straight eight is massively long. You're looking at something that's going to be 3 feet long, 4 feet long, from front to back. And a V8 is only 2.5 feet long. I mean, a V8 literally from front to back, even on a big block, it's literally, when you look at the engine itself, it's literally this much. It's not a lot. So that's why I think, they don't really do it. But they made so much torque. But the other problem that those had would be the same as the Ford 300, feeding the outer cylinders, because the runners, unless you made them all equal length, the outer runners are massively longer than the inners. The slant actually had a little bit of that issue too, but the slant was so durable it didn't matter. And usually what you do is you put the 4-barrel on the slant, mount it sideways, and then you actually got better flow to the front and back. But that's the trick you do on the slant sixes, just so you don't lean out the end cylinders. But those inline eights, you will lean out the end cylinders unless it had multiple carburation, and you did a carburetor for each 4 banks, and then it would actually be very good. But the Packard 8 was probably the best inline 8. It was better even than the Cadillac and better than the Ford. The Packard actually made aircraft engines. Those were Packards. And it's a shame that they went out of business, but they didn't go save companies back then like they did now. So Packard just went away because they just couldn't keep up with Ford, General Motors, Chrysler in the innovation department, because they didn't have any money. The war took a lot out of them. And then in the 50s, it was a little rough at the early part of it. And then, when it started really rolling, Ford came out with a V8, and then General Motors came out with a V8. Chrysler had a Hemi, and Packard is stuck here going, we need to build an engine. And honestly, they didn't have any money. I think they made it into the early 60s, and then they were done because there was another recession in the early 60s that just finished them off. So they just, it's kind of sad, but that the inline eights were impressively powerful, but they were enormous. That's why those cars had hoods that were like 7 feet long on them, because they just had to put that gigantic 8 in there, and it was just feet. So there was a reason why after 6 cylinders they had to go to V's. It's just because of space, and that's actually why the V8 ended up winning out, because of space, because you can put a V8 in a 4-foot engine bay, and it'll fit. You couldn't put an inline 8 into a 4-foot engine bay; it won't fit at all. It just can't. That 6 cylinders in a row seems to be the longest, because if you look, V16s didn't last very long. That was only a few years, and then V12s actually stayed around a lot longer. I think the last V12 was built, I think like 5-6 years ago. BMW, who actually built the last new. I'm probably gonna do a story on this. I'll do a video. The BMW built the last new V12 in the 1980s. It was the last newly developed V12, and they actually modified and kept changing the engine. Actually, the engine at Le Mans, and they kept modifying, changing, and actually used it up until about 2020, 2021, and then they stopped making the 12. The 12 was a phenomenal engine. It was 5 liters. It was basically 2.5 liter engines tied together. It was really impressive, especially the early ones. But yep, so there's that. Okay, well, it's an hour and a half. We're at 90 minutes. I have a lot of work to do tomorrow. And but I thank everyone for coming through. I hope you got something from this. I hope you got something interesting from it. I hope you enjoyed, the little bit of news and some of the history I went over and all the little fun things. Barbara DeRush, you can put 3 dead bodies in the back of the car. Absolutely. And that's what they did. Please. Thanks, Autobot. Thank you. I try. I'm trying to I'm having fun. That's all that matters, I guess. And thanks a lot, everybody. Make sure you tell your friends about my channel. Sharon, if you're watching the video and you think it's fun, share it with your friends. Because I'll appreciate it very much. And I'm gonna have a whole bunch of stuff coming out, even though I won't be around for the next 2 weeks. And I will, when I get back, I'll do a live that Thursday. That's right, sharing is caring. Maybe I'll talk a little about my trip, about anything interesting I see, and maybe I'll show some pictures of the wonderful car I rented, which I'm scaring. Yes, hitting the like button would even be better. Yes, it would be. Smash that sucker, please. But yeah, so Thank you a lot. I'm gonna have video, at least one video next week on Tuesday, maybe more next week. And yeah, we're gonna have a whole bunch of fun stuff coming out, and there will be part 2 of the electronic ignition and ignition systems, because there has to be a part 2. Don't be afraid to show some beautiful Italian women in the pics. I would need to get away from the rest of the family, but yes, there are plenty of those. Yes. Okay, so thanks a lot. And as always, if you have something cool or something fun, take it out, because you got me in the middle of it. Thanks for the match wedge. You're welcome. I should probably do a thing on max wedges. I think I will. Because take it out, because you'll make someone's day, and it will probably be your own. And I will catch you very soon. And thanks for all the well wishes, everybody. And bye for now. And I had to hit the out. If you liked what you saw, subscribe. If you didn't, thank you for watching to this point. And as always, if you have a cool car or something fun to drive, take it out. You'll make someone's day, probably your own.